Okay, 1.11, converting units. Now, we did a little bit of this earlier. Um, we normally call this, and especially you had this in Algebra 1, dimensional analysis. Let's go to, let's just go to the first, how it works here, this chart on the bottom. The first thing you have to do in order to solve these is to find the relationship between the units. In other words, if you're going to go from kilometers to miles, you're going from metric. Okay, you're going from a metric unit to a standard unit. So you need to determine what that relationship is. Okay. So in this case, it's kilometers to miles. So you're going to have to, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to need, now remember, you can only multiply a fraction by a unit of 1, so you don't change the value of it, or 1 over 1. In other words, somewhere along in like 12 inches to 1 foot, that's a unit of 1. Somewhere along the line, you're going to have to find something that is going to convert, a metric unit to a standard unit that's equal to 1. Okay, and that's what they mean by finding a relationship. And of course, you got to understand that they tell you to draw a picture. Sometimes I think the picture might, in this particular case, might actually um, confuse you. Determine the multiply or divide. We're going to always multiply because we're going to be flipping the fraction before we do the mathematical operation. Then you calculate it, and here's really the important part here. We want to make sure that your answer is reasonable. Okay, I've had some students actually turn in papers where they're measuring the wing of an airplane and it comes out to 4 inches. Well, that doesn't seem reasonable. All right, so let's see if we can do a couple of examples. First of all, this chart is going to be very useful to us. Okay, it's a conversion chart, especially if you don't know your metrics and going from metric to standard. Actually, I don't know why the U.S. doesn't use the metric units because it's so much easier. But we're going to refer to this chart a lot, as well as other conversions, like especially like recipes where you go from tablespoons to cups to quarts to gallons. But this one is metric to standard. It's going to come in real handy. Okay, let's start with number 2 here. If you are 5'6", 5 feet 6 inches, are you 5.6 feet tall? And how tall are you in inches? Okay, so we got to think about this. The 5 feet is not a problem for us. Okay, we get to this 6 inches. This is where a lot of students make the mistakes. Well, we know we're 5 feet, and we have to add 6 inches. Now, what is 6 inches in feet? Well, 6 inches is how much of a foot? It's not 6 feet, it's a half a foot, right? Or 0.5 feet. It's a half a foot. So we're going to add to the 5 feet here, we're going to add a half a foot. Now we can add these together since it's kind of like adding fractions with a common denominator. You got to have a common unit in order to add them together. So this comes out to 5.5 feet, 5.5 feet, not 5.6 feet. So you have to be really careful of making sure that you're in the same unit in order to add them or subtract them. Let's look at number 3. You're going to a movie that is 189 minutes long. Your friend is seeing a movie that starts at the same time, but is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Who will finish the movie first? By how many minutes? Okay, so they're asking us to find the minutes, so we might as well convert everything to minutes. Movie number 1 is 189 minutes. Movie number 2 is 2 hours and 10 minutes. So let's change the hours to minutes. Let's see, I know this is pretty common conversion. So I know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So I'm going to take my 2 hours and I'm going to multiply it by 60. That gives me 120 minutes. So I have 120 minutes here. Now I can add the 10 minutes because of the same, think of it as common denominator, same label, same unit. This comes out to 130 minutes. Now that they're the common units, we can compare them. Who will finish the movie first? Well, this one's going to finish first because it's shorter. Okay, let's look at this example too, because this is where we're actually going to convert. Okay. Again, we're going to convert 300 millimeters. So I'm going to start out with 300 millimeters. I'm going to put it over 1. I'm going to end up with meters. Now I don't know how many meters, but I need to change this millimeter to meters. So I go back in here and look at my chart. Hopefully it'll tell me millimeters to meters. Let's see, inches, this is standard. I got inches to centimeters. Well, we're not changing from standard to metric. Here's millimeters. It's going to tell me it changes millimeters to centimeters. So I can at least change millimeters to centimeters. And again, I want millimeters in the bottom, centimeters in the top. And the reason why I want the millimeters in the bottom is so I can cancel those labels. Remember, one's got to be top, one's got to be bottom. Here's my unit of 1. Okay, there's 1 centimeter and 10 millimeters. There's 1 centimeter and 10 millimeters. So now my label's at centimeters. So now I'm going to go look up here and see if I got a relationship between centimeters and meters. And I do. Right here, I have meters to centimeters. I'm going to multiply this. I want my centimeters in the bottom so that they cancel. And I'm going to put my meters up on top. And there's 1 meter to 1 meter to 100 centimeters. Okay. So now I've got all my labels cancel out here, all these cancel, and I got my meters. All I have to do now is multiply 300 times 1 times 1. I get 300 meters, and multiply 10 times 100 is 1,000. So now I'm going to take my calculator, take 300 divided by 1,000. $300 divided by 1,000 is 0.3 meters. And that's my answer. Okay, let's look at number 4. Convert 4650 millimeters to out. Okay, so I've got 4650 milliliters, and I want to convert it to liters. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and in my chart and see if there's a relationship between milliliters and liters. Let's see, here's my liters. So I have, look at it right off the top, liters, milliliters. So I'm only going to need one fraction here. Want my milliliters on the bottom so they cancel. Then I'll have my liters up on top. The relationship is 1 liter to 1,000 milliliters. Okay, multiply them across. 4650 times 1, 4650, 1 times 1,000. So I'm going to take 4650 divided by 1,000, and I get 4.65 liters. And if you want to round it, 4.7 liters. Either one. B. Convert 5 kilograms to milligrams. Okay, I'm going to go up here on my chart, see if there's a relationship between kilograms and milligrams. Let's see. Here's milligrams. I got grams. So here's a unit of 1 I'm going to use. I'm going to have to probably multiply this a couple of times. So I'm going to multiply this by, let's see, I've got, let's see if there's something with kilograms first. Yes, let's use this one first. 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams. Kilograms on the bottom, so they cancel out, grams on top. And my unit of 1 is 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams. 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams. Okay, so my kilograms are gone. Let's see if there's a relationship between grams and milligrams. And that's the one I pointed to earlier. 1 gram to 1,000 milligrams. That's my unit of 1. Want my grams on the bottom so that the units cancel out. And again, it was 1 gram to 1,000 milligrams. Multiply these across. Let's see, 5,000. Ooh, that's a lot of zeros. So I got 5 times 1,000 times 1,000. And I get 5 million. Five milligrams in a kilogram. 5 million milligrams to a kilogram. Numbers are already simplified, so that's my answer. You don't have to put it over 1, but I think it's easier to understand. Okay, next page. C, we want to convert 500 milligrams an hour. So this time we got a unit in the denominator. We have 5 milligrams in 1 hour. So they're giving us a label in the bottom. And it says, well, this time we don't have a choice. They're telling us what to convert it to. The next fraction here. Milligrams per day. Again, be careful here. We want our milligrams today. Well, in order to do that, let's multiply this by 2 fractions first. Okay, we're going to need to change hours to days. So this should be our final answer here. We should get to day no, I'm sorry, my fault. There should be milligrams today. I did make a mistake. My whiteout's a little gooey. Let that dry for a minute. And let my dog out. Okay, so we're going to do milligrams today. That was a little confusing. Okay, let's see. We need to change hours today. So we're going to multiply this by we want to change hours today. I know that there is hours on top so that they cancel. My whiteout is caking up here. Maybe it's not quite dry. Okay, there's 24 hours. Let's see if I got a better pen here. "24 hours in one day." So that my hours cancel. And I'm going to take 500 times 24. And I get 12,000 per day. Okay, now I converted it to milligrams per day. And then it says to grams per day. So I'm going to need grams per day. So this time, I need to change milligrams to grams. I'm going to go back to my chart. Let's see, milligrams to grams. There's 1 gram in 1,000 milligrams. See, I want my milligrams on the bottom, grams on top, so that I get grams in the answer. My milligrams are going to cancel. And there was 1 gram to 1,000 milligrams. Okay, so I got 12,000 times 1 gives me 12,000. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. And I need to reduce 12,000 divided by 1,000. And I get 12 grams per day. Sorry about the little mess here. Should be 24. Okay. And that might be it. And just check the next page, sure there's nothing there. Oh, now we have another one. Too much whiteout. Number 5, convert 2.5 miles to yards. So you have 2.5 miles and they don't give us any unit for the denominator, so I'll put it over 1. And we need to change it to yards. So I'm going to go back to my little chart. See if there's a relationship between miles to yards. See, miles to feet, miles to kilometers. So let's go to miles to feet. Let's see, I'm going to have miles on the bottom so they cancel out. Feet on top. So there's 1 mile to 5,280 feet. So now I'm down to feet. This one, I know, kind of should know by now. Kind of should be actually common unit of measure that there's 1 yard to 3 feet. So I'm going to convert this to, see, feet on the bottom, because don't forget, we want to get to miles to yards. So there is 1 yard in 3 feet. Feet cancel. And I'm left with yards. And I screwed this up again. Hang on, I gotta get some better white out here. Okay, got some much better white out here. Okay. So we're going to end up with yards. And that's it. We wanted just to convert miles to yards. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 2.5 times 5,280, and I get 13,200 yards. 1 times 1 times 3 is 3, not 1, 3. Okay. So I'm going to have to take 13,200 and divide it by 3. It's already in my calculator. I'm just going to divide it by 3. This is going to give me 4,400 yards. I'm going to put it over 1 because I know we're not done with the problem. Okay, so I changed miles to yards by changing the miles to feet and then feet to yards. And that's what I did. So I did answer the whole question. Here's my answer. 4,400 yards. And that should be enough to do your homework.